Brokenness is not the end, but a divine process of transformation. What feels like the lowest moment of your life is often the birthing ground for your greatest strength and purpose. When you reach the point where everything seems to be crumbling, where pain feels unbearable, and where hope appears distant, that is often the very moment when something new is being born within you. It is in the moments of complete brokenness that the greatest revelations about yourself, your faith, and your purpose emerge. There is something about being broken that forces you to see life differently. When everything is going well, we often take things for granted. We assume that our plans will unfold as expected, that people will remain in our lives forever, and that success will always be within reach. But when brokenness enters our lives through loss, betrayal, failure, or disappointment, it strips away our illusions of control. It forces us to confront the reality that life is unpredictable, that nothing is guaranteed, and that sometimes, no matter how much we prepare, we will still face hardships. But here is the truth. Brokenness is not meant to destroy you, it is meant to transform you. The pain you experience in your lowest moments is not a punishment, but a refinement. Gold is not pure until it goes through fire. Diamonds are not formed until they endure intense pressure. And the strongest trees do not grow tall without first digging deep into the ground to establish unshakable roots. In the same way, your brokenness is shaping you into something far greater than you can imagine. When you feel like your life has shattered into pieces, it is easy to believe that you will never be whole again. You look at yourself and wonder how you will ever recover from the wounds that have been inflicted on your heart, your mind, and your soul. You replay the moments that led to your brokenness, questioning whether you could have done something differently to prevent it. You feel isolated, as if no one else understands the depth of your pain. But what you don't realize is that brokenness is the doorway to a new version of yourself, one that is wiser, stronger, and more resilient than ever before. There is a process in transformation that most people resist, the process of surrender. When you are broken, your instinct is to try to fix everything immediately. You want to regain control, to find a way out of the pain as quickly as possible. But transformation does not happen through resistance. It happens through surrender. It happens when you stop fighting the pain and start embracing the lessons it is trying to teach you. Think about a seed planted in the ground. Before it can grow into a tree, it must first be buried in darkness. It must be covered in soil where no one can see it, where it is surrounded by the unknown. But in that hidden place, transformation is happening. The seed begins to crack open, and though it may seem like destruction, it is actually the first step in becoming something greater. If the seed refused to break open, it would never grow. If it resisted the process, it would remain buried forever. But because it surrenders to the transformation, it eventually pushes through the ground and becomes something magnificent. The same is true for you. When you feel broken, you must understand that you are in the process of becoming something greater. You may not see it now, but there is a version of you on the other side of this pain that is stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you have ever been before. But in order to get there, you must allow the process to unfold. You must trust that even in your brokenness, something divine is at work. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they feel broken is believing that they are alone. They isolate themselves, thinking that no one else has ever experienced what they are going through. But the truth is, every great leader, every visionary, every person who has ever accomplished anything meaningful has gone through a season of brokenness. What sets them apart is not that they avoided pain, but that they allowed it to refine them rather than define them. If you look at the lives of those who have made an impact on the world, you will see that their greatest contributions often came after their greatest trials. They lost everything and had to rebuild. They were betrayed by those they trusted. They faced rejection, failure, and humiliation. But instead of allowing their brokenness to defeat them, they used it as fuel. They took the lessons from their pain and turned them into wisdom. They refused to be defined by what happened to them, and instead they allowed their experiences to shape them into people of strength and purpose. There is something about brokenness that brings clarity. When you are at your lowest, you begin to see what truly matters. The things that once consumed your thoughts, material success, the opinions of others, superficial relationships, suddenly lose their importance. You realize that life is about more than what you can gain. It is about who you become. And sometimes it takes being broken to understand what is truly valuable. This is why brokenness is not the end. It is the beginning of something new. But in order to embrace the transformation, you must be willing to let go of what no longer serves you. You must release the need to hold on to the past, to cling to what was, and to resist what is. You must allow yourself to heal, not by pretending the pain does not exist, but by acknowledging it, learning from it, and choosing to move forward. Healing from brokenness is not about forgetting what happened. It is about using it to grow. It is about taking the pieces of your life that feel shattered and rebuilding something even stronger. It is about finding meaning in your struggles and using them to help others who are walking through their own seasons of pain. When you feel broken, do not see it as the end of your story. See it as the beginning of a new chapter, one where you are wiser, one where you are more resilient, one where you are stepping into a version of yourself that you never knew existed. You must also understand that your brokenness does not disqualify you from living a life of purpose. If anything, it prepares you for it. The people who make the greatest impact in this world are not those who have never faced hardships. They are the ones who have walked through the fire and come out stronger. They are the ones who have experienced pain, and instead of letting it consume them, they have used it as fuel to push forward. So if you are feeling broken, do not lose hope. Do not believe the lie that this is where your story ends. Instead, embrace the process. Trust that something divine is at work, even if you cannot see it yet. Know that this pain is shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for something greater. You are not being buried, you are being planted. And one day you will rise, not as the same person you were before, but as someone who has been transformed through the process of brokenness. You will look back and realize that what you thought was the end was actually the beginning of something extraordinary. So hold on, keep moving forward, allow the process to shape you, because the version of you that is coming out of this season will be stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you have ever been before. And when that day comes, you will understand that brokenness was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to prepare you for something far greater. True healing comes not from avoiding pain, but from embracing it, learning from it, and allowing it to shape you into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient individual. Pain is not an enemy, it is a teacher. It arrives in our lives not to destroy us, but to reveal something deeper about ourselves, about life, and about the purpose for which we were created. Yet so many people run from pain. They avoid it, suppress it, or pretend it does not exist. They numb themselves with distractions, hoping that if they ignore their wounds long enough, they will somehow disappear. But healing does not happen in avoidance. Healing happens in confrontation, in facing the very thing you fear, in sitting with your pain rather than running from it, in allowing yourself to feel so that you can be freed from what has bound you for so long. When you go through pain, you have two choices, to become bitter or to become better. You can allow pain to harden you, to make you resentful, angry, and filled with regret, or you can choose to allow pain to refine you, to break open parts of yourself that you never realized needed healing. Pain has a way of revealing the cracks in our foundation, the places where we have built our lives on unstable ground. It strips away the illusions we once held and forces us to see things as they truly are. It is in that raw, vulnerable space where true transformation begins. You see, pain itself is not the problem. It is our resistance to pain that causes suffering. When we resist what we are meant to confront, we prolong our healing. We cling to old wounds, replaying past hurts over and over in our minds. We refuse to let go of the people, places, and experiences that broke us, believing that somehow holding on to them will give us closure. But true healing is not found in clinging. It is found in releasing. It is found in surrendering to the process, trusting that the pain is not meant to harm you, but to prepare you. Every person who has ever done something great has walked through pain. There is no exception. The greatest leaders, the most influential voices, the most powerful individuals, each of them has a story of suffering. But what sets them apart is not the absence of pain, but their response to it. They chose to embrace their wounds and allow them to become the foundation for their wisdom. They understood that pain does not diminish value, it reveals it. Pain introduces you to a version of yourself that you would have never known otherwise. It forces you to dig deep, to find strength you did not know you had. It teaches you resilience in ways that comfort never could. If you were never hurt, you would never know what it means to heal. If you were never betrayed, you would never learn the power of discernment. If you were never broken, you would never understand what it means to be rebuilt. Healing requires you to step into the discomfort. It requires you to acknowledge the pain instead of denying it. It means looking at the wounds of your past and deciding that you will no longer allow them to control your future. Many people struggle with healing because they believe that if they stop feeling the pain, it means what happened to them no longer matters. But healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering without reliving. It is being able to look back at what hurt you and no longer feel controlled by it. Healing also requires patience. Just as wounds in the body do not heal overnight, emotional wounds require time. There will be days when you feel strong and days when the pain resurfaces. There will be moments when you think you have moved on, only to find yourself grieving again. This does not mean you are failing. It means you are human. The journey to healing is not a straight path. It is a process of ups and downs, breakthroughs and setbacks. But every time you choose to keep moving forward, you grow stronger. Every time you refuse to let pain define you, you reclaim your power. One of the most important aspects of healing is learning how to release the need for closure. Too many people hold on to pain because they are waiting for an apology that may never come, for answers they may never receive, for someone to acknowledge the hurt they caused. But true healing is not dependent on anyone else. It is a decision you make for yourself, a commitment to your own peace. You do not need an apology to heal. You do not need validation to move on. You do not need closure from another person to close the chapter in your own heart. Forgiveness is also a crucial part of healing, not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. So many people carry guilt and shame for the mistakes they have made, for the things they allowed, for the pain they endured. But healing requires self-compassion. It requires you to look at your past self with understanding rather than judgment. You did the best you could with the knowledge and strength you had at the time. Growth is recognizing where you went wrong, but not allowing it to define you. Healing is also about changing the way you see pain. Instead of viewing it as something that happened to you, begin to see it as something that happened for you. Every painful experience, every disappointment, every heartbreak, it all served a purpose. It shaped you, it strengthened you, it positioned you for something greater. Nothing in life is wasted, not even the pain. One of the greatest signs of true healing is the ability to help others through what once hurt you. When you reach a place where you can take your pain and use it to uplift, inspire, and guide others, that is when you know you have truly healed. The things that once broke you become the very things that allow you to build others. Your scars become a testimony, proof that healing is possible, that pain does not have the final say. But healing is a choice. You can choose to remain in bitterness, anger, and resentment, or you can choose to rise. You can choose to dwell on what was lost, or you can choose to focus on what is ahead. Healing does not mean life will be perfect. It does not mean you will never experience pain again, but it does mean that when pain comes, you will face it differently. You will no longer fear it. You will no longer resist it. Instead, you will recognize it as part of the journey, a stepping stone toward something greater. So if you find yourself in a season of pain, do not lose hope. Know that healing is possible, that your brokenness is not the end of your story. Do not rush the process, but do not resist it either. Allow it to shape you, to teach you, to mold you into the person you were created to be. One day you will look back on this season and realize that it was in your deepest pain that you discovered your greatest strength. And in that moment you will understand that healing was never about escaping pain. It was about embracing it and emerging from it transformed. When you feel broken, it is an opportunity to surrender, rebuild, and rediscover the power within you. The most powerful people are those who have been broken but refuse to stay that way. Brokenness is not the end of your story. It is a divine invitation to transform, to rise, and to walk into the fullness of who you were created to be. It is in the moments of deep pain, when everything seems to be falling apart, that you have the chance to see yourself with clarity, to strip away all the illusions and pretenses, and to embrace the raw truth of who you are. Many people see brokenness as something to fear, something to avoid at all costs. They believe that being broken means being weak, being inadequate, being unworthy. But that is not true. Some of the strongest, most resilient, and most impactful people in history were once broken. They experienced betrayal, loss, hardship, and despair. Yet, instead of allowing their pain to define them, they allowed it to refine them. They understood that being broken was not the end of their journey, but the beginning of something greater. When you feel broken, you are standing at a crossroads. You can choose to let your pain consume you, to sink into despair and hopelessness, to believe that you are beyond repair. Or you can choose to surrender to the process, to embrace the opportunity to rebuild yourself stronger than before. Surrender is not about giving up. It is about letting go of the things that no longer serve you, releasing the weight of your past, and trusting that something greater is being formed within you. Rebuilding after brokenness is not an easy process. It requires you to confront your pain head-on, to sit with your emotions rather than running from them. It demands honesty, patience, and the willingness to do the hard work of healing. Many people want to be whole again, but they are not willing to go through the discomfort of transformation. They want the pain to disappear instantly, without realizing that true healing takes time. Just like a broken bone needs time to heal, so does a broken heart, a broken spirit, or a broken dream. One of the most important steps in rebuilding is to shift your perspective. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Every hardship carries a lesson. Every wound holds wisdom, and every struggle strengthens you in ways you cannot see in the moment. The most powerful people are not those who have never been broken. They are the ones who learned how to turn their pain into purpose. They used their struggles as fuel to propel them forward, rather than allowing them to become chains that held them back. Brokenness reveals what truly matters. When everything is stripped away, when you are at your lowest point, you begin to see life differently. The things that once seemed so important no longer hold the same weight. You start to recognize the value of love, of faith, of inner peace. You begin to appreciate the people who genuinely care for you, the small moments of joy, and the lessons hidden in your struggles. Brokenness has a way of clearing out the distractions, of forcing you to focus on what is truly meaningful. But rebuilding is not just about putting the pieces back together the way they were before. It is about creating something new, something better. Sometimes brokenness happens because the life you were living was never meant to be sustained. The relationships, the mindsets, the habits, they needed to be shattered so that something greater could emerge. You are not meant to return to who you were before. You are meant to evolve into someone stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true purpose. To rediscover the power within you, you must first believe that it is still there. Pain has a way of making you feel weak, of convincing you that you are powerless, that you have lost yourself. But the truth is, your strength has never left you. It has been buried under the weight of your struggles, but it is still there, waiting for you to access it. Power is not found in avoiding pain. It is found in facing it, in choosing to rise even when everything inside of you wants to give up. The most powerful people in the world are not the ones who never experienced hardship. They are the ones who looked their pain in the face and said, "You will not break me." They are the ones who turned their wounds into wisdom, their losses into lessons, and their setbacks into comebacks. They are the ones who refused to be defined by their past and instead chose to use it as a stepping stone toward their future. Power comes from resilience. It comes from the ability to keep going even when you feel like you have nothing left. It comes from choosing faith over fear, from believing that there is something greater ahead of you than what you left behind. It comes from understanding that brokenness is not a sign of failure, but a necessary step on the path to greatness. When you feel broken, remember this: you are being prepared for something greater. You may not see it now, but every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt is shaping you. You are being refined, strengthened, and molded into the person you were always meant to be. Do not rush the process. Do not fight against it. Instead, surrender to it, embrace it, and allow it to transform you. Your story is not over. The pain you feel today will one day be the testimony that inspires others. The struggles you are facing now will become the wisdom that guides you. The brokenness you are experiencing will one day be the reason you are able to stand with strength, with confidence, and with purpose. Do not give up. Do not lose hope. You are stronger than you think, and you are capable of more than you realize. What feels like the end is often just the beginning. Choose to surrender. Choose to rebuild. Choose to rediscover the power that has always been within you. Because the most powerful people are not the ones who were never broken. They are the ones who refuse to stay that way.